Yeah, apparently the crankshaft's in the country now and should be arriving at MESS in Cheshire at some point. Meanwhile, it's back to all those little jobs, isn't it? Seems we've got time on our bloody hands. This is the front wheel. Front wheel of the XLH1000 AMF Harley-Davidson Ironhead Sportster, to give it its full title in the full Latin. And what I'm doing at the moment is I'm putting little pen marks all over my wheels. I've got the front wheel in the air and I'm spinning it idly. I was having quite a pleasant time because I was listening to Hawkwind's Space Ritual while I was doing this. It was quite therapeutic, but I thought I'd better do a video of it. And apparently Hawkwind copyright their music, which isn't very hippie. Why can't they be more like crass? Okay, right. What I'm doing is every time it stops, I'm putting a pen mark at the bottom. Round and round and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. You got to spin it enough for it to turn a few times, but not so much that you need to go off and make a cup of tea while you're waiting. Okay. And you can do this as much as you like. It's like taking a survey. The more people you ask, the more accurate a picture you'll get. As you can see, there's a lot of marks. And when I finally get completely and utterly bored with this, there should be a lot of marks, and I'll be able to see where there's more marks and less marks, and that'll show me. This isn't too bad. I mean, it's not like it's stopping in exactly the same bloody place every time, far from it. It's debatable whether it needs wheel weights. There are two kinds of wheel weights that you can get, as far as I'm aware. There's the stick-on ones, black, chrome, probably millions of colours. And they're incredibly cheap. I mean, £3 for a strip of 10 varying weights. 1 gram, this gram, that gram, the other gram. And then there's the ones I'd really like, which are reusable, especially made for spokes. And they come with a little Allen key and everything, but they're like minimum £20 for a set of those things. So you can see it's nearly, well, more than that if you want a big set. So as you can see, the cost difference is quite big. If cost was no option, I probably wouldn't be doing a lot of the things that I'm doing right now. If cost was no barrier. Cost is a barrier. The whole point of this thing is that it's cheap. And it has been. So far, because nearly 2 years have passed since I bought it, got it running, got it on the road, broke it, took it off the road again. The price of Ironheads in this country, in the UK, has risen noticeably. You used to be able to get a wrecked one, like an import. You used to be able to get a wrecked one for under £2,000, which wouldn't sound surprising to Americans, because you can get them for $2,000 over there, running ones, but there aren't many in this country. They come at quite a premium. But anyway, in that time, they have noticeably gone up. Wrecked ones now, close to £3 easily. Especially if it's a nice one like an XLCH with a kickstart and high compression everything. I mean, we're talking about things with CX gearboxes, the lights don't work, brakes seized, whatever, bits missing. My favourite one seems to be seats and tanks. They tend to come with seats and tanks, but not the seat and tank they're supposed to have. It's more a cosmetic seat and tank. I think what happened was they hit the bottom of their price curve because everybody knows how awful AMF Harleys were. I mean, the problem was they concentrated on making as many of them as they possibly could rather than on, quality and everything. And this was AMF's decision entirely. It wasn't anybody at Harley's fault as far as I can see. But that generation, the guys immediately older than me, I couldn't work out why everybody hated Harleys when I was getting into bikes in the 80s. I thought, well, they seem all right. A bit overpriced. That was the only reason I never had one, was because you might as well go and buy a BMW or something, bloody, or a car. Just so expensive. When you could pick up a knackered old Honda for a couple £100, and you could pick up a knackered old BSA for probably 1,500 if you were into that kind of thing, and I was. But Harleys were, like I say, they were car money. But these things, everybody that kind of had bad experiences with those, with 70s Harleys, well, basically they're either dead or they're, receiving oxygen, or so. They're all really old, these guys. They're not really making their opinions heard, and they're not buying motorcycles by and large. I mean, I'm no spring chicken, and I'm after them. So we hit a point in history where the price of these things have been talked down and talked down and talked down. But you go on YouTube, type in Ironhead, and you'll see loads of guys aged 25, 30, maybe 40. They love them. They don't give a shit. I mean, they're old bikes now. Reliability's going to be an issue. If you've grown up on quite smooth motorcycles like Japanese and more modern American ones, the very fact that they shake themselves to pieces is quite attractive to a certain kind of two-wheeled pervert out there. So I suppose what I'm saying in all this meandering is that if you do want something like an Ironhead, or you do want an Ironhead, pretty much sooner rather than later, I took a gamble that these things were appreciating, and I bought it at a time when I didn't really have the money. But, that seems to have paid off, because I definitely couldn't afford one. I couldn't justify the money now, let's put it that way. Okay. So that's my little lecture on Sportsters and Jasonomics. Being a skinflint and buying things just because they're cheap. And what we've got now is, it's quite pleasing. I mean, it's not a solid lump of lines on one place, but there are points where there's quite a lot of them, like that, and there are points where it's pretty sparse, like that. So we've got a picture now. I think it's worth balancing to a certain extent. I mean, looking at that wheel as it is, unless the back wheel is noticeably in need of it, then I'm probably not going to bother. I'd say that was all borderline. It's not a sport bike. It's not going to buy me any seconds at Brands Hatch. Anyway, that's it. That's wheel balancing, and